Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube. I have no idea what I'm doing. Today we're going to be talking about my mental illness, borderline personality disorder, but specifically my episodes. So I have two types of episodes. I have manic episodes and then I have depressive episodes. So full disclaimer, again, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a medical professional, I'm just a 25-year-old girl who suffers from borderline personality disorder. Now, if you don't know what that is, just a quick recap. A borderline personality disorder, otherwise known as BPD, is a mental disorder characterized by unstable moods, behavior, and relationships. So I was diagnosed officially when I was 19 years old, because you can't be diagnosed until you're over the age of 18, because sometimes people grow out of the symptoms, etc. It is known to be sort of a genetic disorder, and it's known to be activated. So it's both genetic, but also you could go your whole life and not be activated till you're like 50. It depends a lot on your personal life, your personal trauma, things like that. I won't go into my traumas this episode. I've touched briefly on part of the reasons why I would have borderline personality disorder in my podcast, I Have No Idea What I'm Doing, which is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcast from. So without further ado, let's start talking about my episodes. Okay, so these are not like the official terms or anything, because mostly people associate mania and depressive episodes with bipolar disorder. Now, that is correct still. However, people with BPD often describe the intense emotional changes that we experience as mania or depressive. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my manic episodes, because those happen quite a bit. They can either come from like literally nothing, or they can come from when I have a lot of anxiety. So what happens is I end up having a lot of energy and I'm like going. I can't focus on any one thing. I'm doing a lot of stuff. I usually try to like clean my house when I have them to get like the excess energy out, or like go on a quick walk or something. Because a lot of the times that mania stems from an underlying trauma that I have. Currently, with the situation I'm going through with my ex, that's caused a lot of manic episodes for me, and a lot of unresolved anxiety and things like that. So underneath this like me going attitude is actually me like screaming in pain, and it's kind of like trying to get out in the form of anxiety. As the episode gets worse, I typically get attacked by my emotions. So what that means basically is I start feeling all of my emotions all at once. Predominantly the pain emotion and the yearning, since my disorder is wrapped around my relationships typically, and since I have severe issues with abandonment, and because my ex essentially abandoned me, I basically have had to like deal with like a lot more manic episodes, and it's been kind of awful. But like what happens is I start getting attacked by this extreme yearning for him in particular. And then it just turns into pain. And then I can't really catch the emotion. It's almost like they're all attacking me at once. And I'm like, oh God, help me. I can't feel one particular one. I just feel like too much, overwhelmed. It's almost like somebody took your body, opened up your skeletal and nervous system, and then literally is touching the nerves in your body. So I'm feeling regular emotions that people feel when they go through loss or grief, but I'm feeling them 10 times more than a regular person would. Excuse me, I have a sniffle because I need to take my flow days. So I'm not sick, I don't have COVID, but I have really bad allergies. So usually, as I said, you're unable to focus on things. So a lot of people are like, oh, you can be so productive. No, I can like clean maybe, and I can like do stuff like that, but I can't like write a paper, because my mind just won't focus. It just gets worse and worse, and it continues racing. That also means that I'm extremely irritable, and I have, what happens is it turns into borderline anger. And what that just means is it's like a more intense and quick anger reaction. Thankfully, my borderline anger doesn't come out too much, because I'm very good at controlling the emotions of anger. I grew up in a very violent, very angry household. So I really just, part of my PTSD diagnosis that I have is that I'm really good at like putting that anger into like a constructive place. It's more like pain is and hurt and being hurt that affects me directly versus anger. So these always lead to depressive episodes, and it's really terrible for me because I can tell when I'm in an episode, when I'm having mania, when it's starting to decline, because I get worse and worse emotionally and I start slowing down. And that's how I know, we're about to go into a depressive episode. Now, catching a manic episode and kind of dealing with it, as I said, I can go on a little walk sometimes. It really just depends on the intensity of the episode. Some episodes I can catch. Some episodes I can do a little watching of the TV. I can take a nap. Other episodes that come out of nowhere, particularly, like if I see a picture of my ex, or if I'm just thinking about something a lot, or an experience happens that like triggers that reaction, that's when I typically have difficulty controlling those. Those are the more intense episodes, and I don't have anything to really deal with those. I kind of just have to get through them. But for the lighter ones, like I said, I kind of can direct myself to do specific things. Sometimes I cook, sometimes I just pace back and forth. Sometimes, I just need to get a good cry out. And I resist crying a lot because I'm so scared that if I start, I won't stop. And oftentimes that's not the case. Oftentimes I can start and then maybe 10 minutes later I'll be done and I'll feel a little bit better after I take a nap. But yeah, so manic episodes, that's how I deal with my manic episodes. It's kind of all over the place. The medication that I have at night helps keep my emotions down in general so that those manic episodes don't happen. So as I said, we're going to move forward with talking about depressive episodes because my mania typically goes into depressive. So what that means, those are like the worst because with manic episodes, I typically might act out. I might post on social media that I'm suicidal. I might even self-harm a little bit, but it's more like performative. And I don't mean performative and like I'm trying to get attention. It's more like I can't catch my emotions. I can't control my impulses very well, essentially, with that. Now, depressive episodes are the ones that really, really scare me in a different way because those are the ones where I don't kind of ask for help. I just go into self-harm and suicidal attempts and things like that. So those ones are the really scary ones that I try to avoid. It is pure dread for me when I'm in a depressive episode. I just completely shut down. I can't get out of bed. I can't move. I'm crying. I feel pain in a different way. I feel it in a more of a despair type of way. The intense yearning is there, and it's more like a hopeless yearning. It's not like, oh, I got to do something about this. I got to see this person. I got to call this person. It's more of, wow, I lost the love of my life. I lost my soul. I am nothing anymore. And not, just to be clear, not because I lost that person, but because I feel like it's my fault. I feel like, wow, I'm such a monster. That's when all the negative thoughts that people talk about start coming in. And it's just a really intense form of hopelessness and helplessness. So depressive episodes are really scary for me. How I deal with those, I do what's called a full shutdown. So I turn off my phone, I turn off the TV. I've had these specific Amazon earbuds that I've talked about before on my Instagram that just block out noise, or they mute it mostly. I turn off all the lights, I close the blinds, because what happens is I'm super, super sensitive to my sensory issues kick in. So any noise, any sort of light, all of that stuff will upset me. So during depressive episodes, I shut down, and I've almost forced myself to go to sleep because there's nothing I can really do outside of that. And it's super dangerous for me to become stimulated at all during that because it's just such a despair. I could really hurt myself. So as I said, I do the shutdowns for those. With those episodes, sometimes it's not really an issue of impulse control with that. I actually end up not eating, not binge eating or anything like that, like I would with a manic episode. Sometimes with those, if it's really, really bad, and my ASMR videos aren't working and stuff and I can't fall asleep, sometimes I do this. So for Christmas last year, my ex got me this Doctor Who watch that I love, and I put it on, and then I sleep on the pillow that he gave me, and just to feel like familiarity, like it's almost like self-soothing, like God, this person is still here in some weird twisted way, just to soothe you. And that's really, really important for me with the things I'm dealing with now, because when I have a depressive episode now, I cannot shut down. I have things I have to do. I have things I have to take care of. So I can't just shut down and turn everything off. And my sensory issues get really, really bad. So like any noise, crying, whatever, those Amazon earbuds go in because I cannot be affected. Thankfully, I haven't had too many of the depressive episodes because I usually catch the manic episodes before that happens. But sometimes it's a little touch and go. If it ever gets really bad, I always go to my sister's house, because you never know when you're going to come out of those things, and you just want to be safe. So there you have it. That's a brief description of my manic episodes and my depressive episodes, and kind of how I deal with them as a girl living with borderline personality disorder. As always, if you have any further questions, feel free to check out NAMI's website. Feel free to message me, ask me. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and follow my Instagram. And of course, listen to I Have No Idea What I'm Doing, my podcast, where I definitely talk about my trauma and my disorder. So thank you guys for joining me for this episode of I Have No Idea What I'm Doing, and I will see you next time.